This is the famous Gaussian integral. But where does it come from? Why square root of pi? Let's solve it step by step. There's also a challenge question in the video, so have a go at it. The first thing to notice is that this integral is non-elementary, meaning we don't know how to express the antiderivative of this in terms of any of the known functions. But the integral we have is definite. There are bounds. And usually this gives us a higher chance of finding a solution even if we don't necessarily know how to find an antiderivative for the function. Let's start by calling the integral I. And we'll multiply the integral by itself. So we'll have I squared. And the reason we're doing this is because we want to change the variable of integration in the second integral. Let's call it y. And of course, this is allowed because the variable is only a dummy variable for integration. It's a definite integral, and the result will be a number at the end of the day. So you can call it whatever you want. Now, using Fubini's theorem, we can group this product into a double integral. And we can now multiply the exponentials and add their powers, like this. And we can then factor out a negative sign. Now we have x squared plus y squared, and this reminds us of polar coordinates. Because we know in polar, x is r cosine theta and y is r sine theta, meaning x squared plus y squared equals r squared. So we can see some inspiration to transform this integral into polar coordinates. So replacing x squared plus y squared with r squared, we get this integral. Now we still have a lot to worry about. First of all, how do we replace dx dy? We know that the differential terms in polar become r dr d theta. So let's substitute that. And finally, we have to change the bounds of integration. Notice that the region we're working with is negative infinity to infinity for both x and y. Now, this spans the entire xy plane. It's the entire 2D plane, everything. So we can represent the same region in polar coordinates as r from 0 to infinity and theta from 0 to 2 pi. Because this would be a full revolution and it would include all possible distances from the origin. So this would also represent the same region, the entire xy plane. So these are the bounds in terms of r and theta. And now we have fully transformed the integral into polar coordinates. And now the reason for all this trouble becomes clear. This r term that the transformation to polar coordinates generated makes this integral solvable by a simple substitution. Before we do that, let's split the integrals again by undoing what we did using Fubini's theorem earlier. And of course, the theta integral will just be 2 pi, so that's easy. Let's just focus on the r integral now. The substitution is u equals r squared. You can use u equals negative r squared if you want, same thing. Du would be 2r dr, and the integral is now in terms of u, half e to the negative u du. The bounds are still from 0 to infinity. 2 and 1/2 cancel out, and we have pi times the integral from 0 to infinity of e to the negative u du. And this is of course easily integrable. We'll have negative pi times e to the negative u from 0 to infinity. Now technically here we should be taking the limit because this is an improper integral, but this is just implied as part of the process. We can just substitute it as if we're taking the limit, and we know that e to the negative infinity is 0 in the limit, and e to the 0 is of course 1. So we have negative pi times negative 1, which is positive pi. So I is equal to the square root of pi. And here's where the challenge question comes in. Why did we ignore the negative part of this solution? Let me know your answers in the comments down below. Now that we know that I is equal to radical pi, we're done. because remember, I is the integral we set out to solve. So there you have it.